Okay, did a quick review on Double Jeopardy, but I thought I'd do a video about it. It's my first one. I just wanted to see how it would go. Just see if I can point out some things that I look for in transfers, and just to see what kind of reaction I would get. So this is Double Jeopardy from Paramount Presents line. Didn't review it well. Paramount seemed to struggle on film transfers, and I don't think that's changing. So it's definitely an issue. They're really good at digital stuff like Maverick. You take all of the film grain out of an image, or it doesn't have any film grain, it looks perfect. They target 70 megabits a second, and well, that's perfect for digital. You really don't need any more than that. I've encoded some stuff. 70, yeah, 70 is about all you need. I've done slightly higher, but I think I did something from Netflix, just open source stuff, and it was like 68 megabits a second, and it was absolutely perfect. So you don't need bleeding edge bit rates for digital stuff, but you absolutely do for film content. So this is the review. And I said film grain cannot resolve at all, which is not good. That's really my biggest issue with this movie. I said it's typical of Paramount transfers. Sometimes the grain is soft and sometimes the grain is blurry. This is due to the way it was shot, which I don't like. I don't like 90s movies that put glare and softness in scenes. It's not my thing. But if it's a trait from the movie, then so be it. That's fine. And this is not being blurry and soft is not my issue. It's the film grain not resolving in any way. HDR use is limited, but still better than Blu-ray. Absolutely. Black level detail is much better. And it blows out a little, I think, on Blu-ray. I think it goes over clipping on the Blu-ray slightly. Resolution jump, I didn't see much of a resolution jump at all. There may be some versus 1080p Blu-ray, but the jump just wasn't big enough. I then put Paramount doesn't know what quality means. If you've seen their responses to Planes, Trains and Automobiles, I think I would believe this to be true. So, because apparently they think there's nothing wrong with it, which is, how could you say that? Took some screenshots, and first thing about screenshots, they don't give you what HDR really is. This is let me put this back. This in the corner here, this is a 4K, and this is the Blu-ray. Obviously, it's blown out, and I've done that for most of them. They're not the exact frame, but they are the same shot on some of them. And so we'll just go through these. I'll go full screen. This shot here, unfortunately you can't see film grain on static images. This is the issue with still images. You just can't see. you can't see how film grain is crawling along this wall and resolving in any way from an image. In this area here, down here where my mouse is, it's actually revealing no black level detail. And if you go to the SDR, the Blu-ray version, basically crushes this out. You can see a film grain. That would be film grain. I don't know if you can see this on YouTube, but there is film grain in this part of the image. Blu-ray is crushed out. The difference in Blu-ray as well for the color, the brightness. It's like Blu-ray just raises their gamma too early. It comes out of black just too early, and it's just too Blu-ray it just never gets the color correct. So from a color grading point of view, it is definitely an improvement from the Blu-ray. But the improvements after that are just not really large enough. Now this could be due to a few things. The source material just that's the way it is. But some of this could also be due to Paramount and what they're doing with their film transfers. It's really the restoration team from Paramount that is doing this. This is another example. Okay, that's the 4K, that's the Blu-ray. Again, you can't see film grain in this image really. It's just, that's the way it is. But there's film grain here on this guy's jacket, and it just blurs. It's constantly blurring. It cannot resolve one bit. Grain being able to resolve wouldn't be blocks of grain. It would be pin sharp points of grain, like sand. That's how it should be. The restoration team goes in there and they probably applied some scrubbing brush over this. The reason they would do that is to create film grain consistency. They want the film grain to look as consistent as they can. The problem is in 2023, with my TV, like an OLED, it's 77 inch. You can see everything that they do in the restoration process on my TV. Back in the day when we had DVD, with 45 inch TVs, CRT. You couldn't tell that it's been smoothed out, or if they were running DNR and all this type of stuff. You couldn't tell back then. But the thing is, you can see absolutely everything now on these TVs. Mine's professionally calibrated as well, so it compounds the issue of them not getting it perfect, and now we're having to see this. I didn't actually say what I gave the movie, so just sorry. Yeah, 3.5 out of 5, which once you go below 4 for me, below 4 is really starting to get into Blu-ray levels of quality, and if you're doing 4 out of 5, it's okay. It's average. But once you go below 4 for me, you're doing something wrong, and this is exactly what Paramount are doing. The problem is as well is that if you don't have if the source material in the first place isn't good, then encoding this makes it even harder. If you've ever tried encoding material that is not pristine, and it's already got artifacts and blurring and blocking in the image in the first place, how can you have a consistent image anyway? So some of this may not be the Paramount transfer team, but it might be the restoration team that is screwing this up. And again, it's because we now have 4K. We have 4K and we can see this type of detail, and they're blurring it out basically. But again, yeah, this is poor. Around here is poor. It's just absolutely poor. The Blu-ray is no better. It probably looks worse. Can't really tell. I did take a quick look at the Blu-ray, but I normally don't compare to Blu-ray because like, I've been looking at Blu-ray since it was released. I've been looking at DVD since it was released. I know how SDR looks. I know how 1080p content looks. I know when a 4K is good. And the reason I went back to the Blu-ray on this one is because I'm like, did they like how does the Blu-ray look compared to the 4K? Because the 4K just doesn't really look good. It's probably better than everything we've had before. Yeah, sure. But compared to what we're used to now in 2022 and 2023, it's way below standard for me. And again, where did this start? Is it just on the transfer team that did the disc itself? Did they apply any DNR or scrubbing on iframes and stuff like this? Or is it just the restoration team's fault? Again, I don't really want to compare brightness too much with SDR and HDR. The reason is because the HDR has been completely squashed into 100 nits. So any screenshot you're seeing comparing these two, for the most part, it doesn't give you an indication of how good it can look on a TV. You see screenshots and this looks dull on this screenshot, and then the Blu-ray looks bright. The Blu-ray has been, made for SDR, so it looks relatively decent now anyway. When you get this on a TV, it doesn't look like this. It doesn't look dull and dark. It just looks dull and dark on a screenshot that's been capped from 4,000 nits, down to 100 nits. So screenshots can really only get you so far if you're looking at screenshots, but there are a couple of things to point out here. This here, where my mouse is on the left side here, this black level detail here. This is that's the 4K. That's the Blu-ray. The Blu-ray is crushing black detail there. 4K is revealing much more black detail. This is good. This is very good. It's SDR as well. Obviously, is it's just there's too much contrast and brightness. Well, it's not contrast, it's brightness in this image. It's like the gamma is just not tracking properly. It's tracking heavily above. And welcome to a lot of SDR stuff. That's how it is, unfortunately. So yeah, better black level detail. And the colors are more balanced as well in HDR. It's not the brightest disc. I'm fine with discs not being bright. I'm fine. Like back in the day, they were shot a certain way. They weren't with HDR cameras in mind. They weren't digital either. And movies having like very limited brightness, I'm fine with that. That's how it was back then. That's completely fine. But it's the way the movie tracks grain is really that's what it's coming down to. That's what a lot of my transfer flaws are coming down to, and that is the way transfers and the way people deal with grain. If you can get grain right, you will have a spectacular image. It's that simple. The best transfer on 4K is still Django, and it is a perfect example of how good film grain can look on 4K. Nothing is scrubbed on that transfer. It resolves grain absolutely perfect. It takes 95 megabits a second to do that, and some people, grain haters may not like that look. That's fine. But whatever. The people that do like grain and they want to retain everything in the image without it being scrubbed, that is the reference disc for film content, in my opinion. There is nothing out there that is better than that disc. This disc, you compare this disc, the way it deals with film grain, compared to Django, this is extremely poor in comparison. And this is again why I'm reviewing it at 3.5. It can't keep up with discs transferred a year and a half ago, or 2 years, a year and a half. The reason I took this shot, I just wanted to, even though this shot kind of proves it, that SDR kind of blows out those whites, I just wanted to get an idea if these clouds were getting blown out. Not really. I think it's okay. It is still blown out. You can... Yeah, I mean... Sometimes the SDR version looks more dynamic. If you see this guy's hair, like you can see different parts of his hair, but I just think it's because the contrast and the brightness feels so much brighter, or the gamma, sorry, is so much more pushed out. Sometimes you reveal this type of detail, and it's not correct. So, yeah. Not really a good transfer for me. I think Paramount can do much better than this. I want them to do better. It's I think it's a shame that we've got to this point where certain companies just still can't keep up with the demands that the people want from this format. You're releasing a Paramount Presents line, but what quality improvements are you doing compared to, say, a normal release that is a Paramount transfer? As far as I'm concerned, you're doing nothing. They're like, is this supposed to be an improvement? It is an improvement over Blu-ray, sure, yeah. But for 4K, I just expect more. I expect much more. So yeah, that's my rant for a bit about this movie. Really good movie, by the way. Excellent movie. It's one of those 90s movies that is, yeah, it reminds me of similar movies like The Firm, and to be honest, there's actually a lot of movies like this back in the 90s. Really good movie. I enjoyed it. But please, Paramount, they have to do better. And again, I don't know whether it's on the whose side of the fence this is on, the transfer team, or the restoration team, or both. They need to improve what they're doing. Other people are getting it. Sony, they've nailed it. Their transfers lately are absolutely gorgeous. And I'm really just talking here about the AAA studios. It's the AAA studios that need to get it, because the indie labels, most of the indie labels have got their transfers there or thereabouts. Because you're an indie company, right? The only way you're going to stand out when you release these small movies and you don't have the budget that these guys have is the quality has to stand out. And this is one reason as well why I think smaller companies, when they're doing restoration work, say they don't have the money, right, to do a full restoration. That's actually better. The reason it's better is because you can get a 4K scan done of a movie. Sure, there might be some cigarette burns and all of this that maybe do need cleaning up. You clean that up, sure. But whatever Paramount are doing after this point, they're actually touching grain to try and make it more consistent. That needs to stop. That has to stop. There's a line that has to be drawn with this level of quality, and imperfections in the film, if you see it moving, this type of stuff, stability, all of that, yeah, sure, that needs to be done with the scan, everything like that. But my enjoyment of movies is, sure, watching the movies, but I want to see them represented in the best way possible. I want film grain retained entirely, or as much as possible, because this movie was the transfer itself became a distraction. Once that happens, I'm out. I can't enjoy the movie like I'm supposed to. And maybe I get a little heavy sometimes into this, like why I like things and why I don't. But it has to be the whole package for me. Can't just have this gorgeous packaging. Um, you know, you can't just have this gorgeous packaging, put a number on the spine. Now it's a collector's piece, but the quality stinks. That's not. I don't think that's what anybody wants. So yeah, that's my opinions on the movie. I'd like to hear everybody else's opinion. I've been hearing some responses on Twitter and other places. I've seen some other reviews too, and I don't think anyone is disagreeing heavily with my thoughts. I'm pretty heavy in my disapproval of this transfer. 3.5 is now getting low. But there's standards that I accept, and there's I don't really accept this type of quality. So thanks for watching. Yeah, let me know what you think. Am I too harsh on this movie? If you've seen it, or the transfer or anything like that? Is 3.5 a good score? Yeah, just let me know what you think, and yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.